So for the guys that are just joining, I mentioned that people submitted their sites. I picked out a couple of them, both client and affiliate sites that I thought were really great. We're going to go through these if we have time extra. If you have extra time at the end, I'll jump into more sites that I have the list of. I just want to make sure that we were looking at sites that have a good array of something. It's not going to be a super specific thing, but it's also not going to be so general that I can't really narrow down on anything. So with that said, let's jump into the first site here. I've hidden the URLs just because we don't get to the sites. Oops, I want to make sure I'm not just showing off everybody's URLs. So this first site here is a firearms affiliate site. Site owner asks, site structure, content quality, link quality. So very general in terms of what to look at, but I'll take a peek here. And just FYI, if you were the site owner and you want to ask me a specific question, use the Q&A box on Zoom because nobody else will see that. You don't want to reveal yourself. If you mention it on Facebook or through the chat box on Zoom, everybody will be able to see it. But if you're on here, you're going to be like, hey, that's my site, and you don't want to reveal yourself, go through the Q&A box on Zoom. So site structure, content quality, link quality. And again, I apologize if I'm talking fast. I want to make sure I can get through as much as possible. Site structure. So it looks like a pretty basic site. I can't imagine it's very large. Let me just do a site search. About 23 pages that Google showed me. So the overall site structure I don't think is too much of a worry right now. URLs aren't massive. I have a point or two I'll mention on those in a second here when I actually go into one of these posts. You have your navigation options up here for reloading. So, okay, so we have like reloading tables. I don't know much about firearms, but I have to assume that all this stuff is related to reloading and maintaining guns and whatnot. Then you have the actual informational content, looks like here. I mean, the site's fairly basic. I think it looks fine. I've been reading a lot of articles lately, and I do a little bit of affiliate, not a ton. I have 4 sites, 3 of which I acquired when I started off of an age domain. And of all those sites, I've really started to value speed over efficiency right now because I find that speed is more efficient. So what I mean by that is you could go through here and, I could say, hey, you can make the site be a little bit more pretty by restructuring the navigation a little bit to break down by, these categories and make this look a little bit prettier with, this very basic kind of outline you have here. But I found much more value focusing on just pumping out a ton of content and then worrying about the actual structure of the site later, which some people will say differently. But I mean, at the end of the day, with affiliate sites, generally you're trying to rank for keywords, get people to this page, and they're generally not hanging around or looking at other pages, especially on smaller sites. So if I'm looking for the best gun reloading bench, and I end up on this page, your goal is to get me to click this, go into Amazon, buy something, not navigate through the site. So I would pay a lot more attention to the amount of content you're putting out there to actually get people to the site, as well as the actual structure and design of the content itself, which is what I'll get into here. Let me just go back here, and I want to open up at least 2 of your articles. I have this one open. Let me open up this one again just to see what's consistent on the site. Let me just look at the rest of the questions. So site structure, kind of talked about that. Content quality and link quality. So for the content itself, depending on what your goals are with the site, I'm personally not a huge fan of using best or review in the URLs, just because if you do build out a site where you do actually have to worry about how it's structured. I mean, if you are like, look at these guys. Like if you're like these guys, which there are a firearms blog that gets about 2 million visits a month. They have about, sorry, not 2 million, like a couple 100,000. They get about 2 million impressions a month. They have about 1,200 pages. At this point, they have to really worry about their site structure and everything like that. For you, I wouldn't worry about that too much right now, but when you do want to grow, and the reason why I'm mentioning this here is that URLs you really don't want to change if you can avoid it, because there's the aspect of if you're building links to this URL and you change that URL, then you 301 redirect it, well then you're either going to have to change your links or deal with the consequences of having the link juice go through a 301 first. So I would keep this to just like reloading press, so that if you do build out and you have hundreds of articles, I think it looks a little cheap, in my opinion, to have best or review within the URL rather than just, hey, this is definitively, if you want reloading information about reloaded presses, go here. That's the best way that I can explain that. Even if your main keyword is, best reloading press reviews, I generally don't put that in the URL because I don't think, I like to have clean URLs, keep the site as clean as possible. Now, what I do like on the site is that you've put in a lot of effort, it looks like, into the actual design of the content, which I like a lot. When it comes to site structure, I would pay, like I said, pay way more attention to the structure of the page and the content and how it's structured on the page first, because that's going to get you the higher conversion rate. That's going to make people trust your site a little bit more. This isn't just like a wall of text with a button that says, hey, buy me on Amazon. So I like that you have this content box right here. You have a table, which is nice. I'm just scrolling down here to see what's going on. You have your product breakdown, more tables, pros and cons. You have videos. It looks pretty nice. You have diagrams as well. You have comments and whatnot. So what I will say here on the structure of the page is I'm not a fan of the content box width. So let me just open this up. Just because it makes it a little bit harder to read, and for like your pros and cons, they're touching each other. You can't really do too much here with your margins. But you have, come on, there we go. You have this right here, all this space. You have all this space, and you have your actual content boxes here for your sidebar and your main content box here. Personally, what I would do, because you're probably not getting thousands and thousands of visitors a month, I could be wrong. But again, like I said, you're probably just worried about getting people onto this page for the best reloading press, getting them to click on an affiliate link and buy a product. I would get rid of the sidebar personally. Where's that tool coming from? Is that Chrome extension? Yes, that is Web Paint. It's very useful, especially in these settings. So I would get rid of the sidebar to make this content panel wider, just because your table will look better when it's not constricted by so much width. You could have larger images, which can make the product stand out a little bit more. For your pros and cons tables, they're really close together. Let me look at the site on mobile really quick. Yeah, right here, they're right on top of each other because there's no space between them. Besides that, I don't think mobile's bad at all. But I would make that a little bit wider personally. I'm doing that with one of my sites right now because it has a very similar look and feel where the sidebar is just constricting the main content box a little bit too much. Another thing that I noticed when just scrolling down here is that besides this table, I don't think you actually have any affiliate links on this page, which is a bit of a problem. So this could be an affiliate link. This image could be an affiliate link. If you wanted to, you could have a button, check price on Amazon or whatever, because not everybody's going to want to scroll all the way back up, especially it looks like you have a you have 6,150 words. I don't want to spend the next 30 seconds of my life scrolling up to find the link that I want. So I would add those affiliate links as well. Let me just check this page really quick, see if there's anything different with your site structures. Okay, so you actually do have buttons and the text links here and the image links. So it looks like you just didn't finish this page. I think this is your newest one as well, so you could still be working on it. But just double check all your sites. Something that I've been running into as I've acquired 3 affiliate sites is that I'm finding articles where sometimes there are no affiliate links whatsoever. I'm finding some articles where only half the links are actually active. Sometimes all the table links are just the hashtag symbol. So it's just an anchor link, so it just goes to the page itself and not an actual affiliate link. So just double, triple check your links, because I'm not going to go through every page on your site, but this one has some issues with that. Let me look at your tables real quick. I don't know what you're using for your tables. I'm not familiar with all the plugins that people use for everything, but I think the product name here is a little bit too long. You could just reduce the name, have only the important parts in here. So it could just be, the model, the company and the model name, and then really highlight the features of it. let me look at the next thing. Link quality. Let me just check the questions first. Where is that tool set? Okay, I already answered that, sorry. Q&A. This is just before I jump into Ahrefs, in case someone has anything on the site. If any of your sites as clients been hit by the March 12th update, because that's not relevant to the site right here, I'll, if I haven't answered that by the end of this, just remind me on Facebook, just because I want to make sure I can answer everything to the site right now. Okay, so it looks like we're good on questions for this right now. Let me jump into Ahrefs on this, because the next thing that someone asked, that the person asked, was on link quality itself. So in terms of the onsite and what's kind of going on there, just to sum up everything I said, pay way more attention to your single page structure to make sure that the people who are actually coming to your site actually want to click on your links and actually buy from you. And then before you're worried about the actual looks and designs of the site, which you didn't mention, but I want to make sure it's clear when you're talking about site structure and not, there's a lot of content about how to build an authority site and everything like that, is pay way more attention to the speed of the execution of putting out content. I found that to be, when looking at some sites that are designed like crap, people will click on affiliate links. People of all levels of experience and knowledge with the internet are using the internet to find affiliate products, or to find products through affiliate type searches like best reloading bench or whatever it may be. Someone who's 55 that lived half their life without the internet isn't necessarily the best person to tell you whether or not a site looks good. And so I wouldn't worry about that too much, as the amount of content you're putting out there on that. I've said that a couple times now, so let me just move on to here for Ahrefs. So 28 links to the site, so not a whole lot. Let me look at referring domains, anchors, top pages by links, top pages by keywords. So the reason why I'm opening up the top pages, and this does have the URL, but I'm on the domain, so I'm looking at the entire domain here. The reason why I opened up the organic report for the top pages by organic search is that I want to make sure I'm focusing on the pages that are getting the most traffic to your site. And I recommend that you do the same when you're working on links. When it comes to the on-site, I've been doing a lot of just explosive amount of content, making sure the basics are there for the on-site, just pumping out as much content as possible and worry about that later. For links, I'm really trying to focus on just 1 or 2 pages until everything there is really good and working. So we have traffic here, and of course these numbers can be way off, but just based on what Ahrefs is telling me, this is the top organic page, which is best hand priming tools. So if I look at this page in particular, I'll also open up this page's referring domains and anchors, because most likely this is also the page that has the most links, or the best links, or whatever, theoretically at least, if it's the one getting the most traffic. So when we look at this individual page, it doesn't look like there's links to that page. Okay, so I was wrong. Now, best pages by links. I'm going to look at the referring domains, top to bottom. Best loading press, homepage. Okay, so there's only a couple pages on the site that really have links. So it looks like they're mostly these 2 money pages, and then this one has just 2 links. So when it comes to the links, it looks like the pages that are getting the most traffic don't seem to match up with the pages that have links. And you don't even always need that. You could have some of these that are lower competition where you don't necessarily need the links. But if this is like your main, and I don't know this niche very well, so if this is like the main page, which I have to assume is the most trafficked search terms, because you have, oops, I want to open that in another tab, because you have the most links to this page, and that's what people typically do. Here, so it looks like on the top the top ones you're not really ranking for. So I don't even know what that is because that's 51 to 100. But let's just say that's your main one. This could be the most competitive page, which isn't necessarily where you want to spend your time. Right now, you want to spend your time making enough money with this site to reinvest into the more competitive ones. So it looks like some of these other pages that are getting a lot of the traffic don't really have links, and you can probably boost up these pages quite a bit by sending some links to these pages before focusing your links on this page, which doesn't really seem to be ranking for a whole lot right now. Where something like this, you have some number ones, some number threes. If you were to boost that up to, let's say one link, boost that up to number one or whatever it may be, that could be worth an extra, I don't know how expensive this stuff is, but 10, 20, 30 bucks a month to the site for that. So when it comes to links, because you didn't really specify, okay, you did say link quality, so I'll look at that as well. But in terms of where to focus links, because I misread and misinterpreted what the question was, that's how I would focus the link building campaign. But in terms of actual link quality, I look here. So on the referring domains, I'm going to look at live, I'm going to look at do follow, and I'm going to order by domain rating, which is already there. I'm also going to have anchors open. I'm going to look at anchors that are live and do follow. So looking at some of these sites here, see these are probably more spammy type sites on the lower end. I'm not looking at domain rating to tell me how good a site is. It's just as a metric to kind of use as a baseline, because the higher the domain, the more likely it is to be a good site. Doesn't mean it is a good site. So let me just look at this one here. So just looking at the site, the site looks fine. Bitly, all the links are in Bitly's. Okay, not all of them, but that does look a little weird. The first couple of them could have been affiliate links. I'm not going to click on them. Let's just say, okay, so this page canonicalizes to you. That's odd. Not sure why that's a thing. I don't know the history of the site or the site, or if you also have that site, but that's a little odd. Foreign policy. So click here, going to best reloading press. Click here is the anchor. When I look at the site in terms of quality, I mean, the first site itself, I didn't dive too deep on that site, but that seemed fine. These sites on immediate look aren't looking like PBMs or anything like that. I haven't looked at the links a little bit. Best reloading press here. So it seems like these are most definitely purchase links. What I don't like and what I've been paying attention to a little bit more than before, especially because I use various vendors for link acquisition, is who else is getting links on the same site or pages as me. So I'm personally not a huge fan that you have your site here, but then there's also an affiliate site right here as well, because anything that they're doing on their site will Google will be like, hey, what's kind of going on here? This looks a little suspicious. Let me check out their links. Now they could potentially find you. Hey, you're in the same thing. This is Google deems that, hey, the site's selling links. Well, then, okay, well, then that means you're buying links. So I'm just a little wary on that. I'm also, let me just look at the site. It seems odd that you would choose a kind of fairly generic anchor text when you don't have a whole lot of links. And this is in the, quote unquote, stronger tier of links, being like a DR 58. DR doesn't necessarily mean a whole lot. I'm not going to. So I would use target anchors for my more powerful links, and then use the more miscellaneous or non-aggressive anchors for weaker links. So this looks like another person's affiliate site that you also have a link from. So because I've already spent a lot of time on the site, I do want to make sure I can get to a couple more sites. Some of them are going to be quicker than this. But in terms of link quality, I think that we have so little, I can give you my opinion, but I'm not Google, and what I think is a good link is not necessarily what Google thinks is a good link. When I'm going after links, I'm just looking at, okay, do I think that this is a quality website? Does this anchor text make sense for the site? If I was a Google employee, within 5 seconds of seeing this page, would I know that this is not legit? And if I don't think it's legit within 5 seconds, I'm not really interested in it. In terms of your anchor text selection, it seems like, I'm just going to the actual anchor text page again, but it looked like one of your stronger links had a very generic anchor. Yeah, it seems like you've gone fairly conservative on the anchor text, assuming that Ahrefs is showing a good overview of your link profile. So if you run your, an anchor text analysis or however you want to go out, or however you decide to determine what anchor text you want to use, I can pretty much promise you that you can be a lot more aggressive than what you're doing right now. Let me just see if anybody else has any questions on this. How can you tell if a link is crappy? I think I just answered that. Basically, if it's partly intuition. If you've been on enough sites, I think it's your opinion. What I think may be a crap link, you may think is a good link, but I'm looking to see, does this look like a quality website? Does this anchor text make sense for this site? Would it make sense for this site to link to me in the first place? What other sites is this page linking to? What other sites is this site linking to? If I want to look at the other articles, because as well, so something that that I'll look at is when you get a link from a site, especially if you're buying links, look at the other pages, because you can be like, great, well, this is a strong site, so I want to have a target anchor text. And this could be a totally legit site that you're just doing guest posting on. But if you notice that all the recent articles, like 90% of them are guest posts, and everybody that's getting guest posts on the site is using exact match anchors to their affiliate sites, well, that's a fairly big red flag. So there's a lot of different ways to determine if a link is good or not. How Google decides on it is really hard to, we can only speculate. But that's just my opinion. And, I know people that are doing very well with very low quality, kind of very spammy links that are, making a lot of money with their sites. And I know people that are doing just as well with just completely, quote unquote, white hat type links. So I think it's a lot of opinions, and I don't want to say anything and say it as definitive fact when it simply isn't. Relevancy plays a big role as well. Yes, it does, both vertically and horizontally. If you can't justify the link being there, then it's very suspicious. Maybe I'll have to go past the hour because we're already halfway through.
Can I jump in before you go to the next one?
Yeah, 100%.
Awesome. So I know like 90% of SEOs, including myself, are absolute introverts, but can you guys give us like some engagement to make sure you guys are enjoying this? Like just drop a 1 in a chat box or something like that, just so Jarod knows that you guys are actually enjoying this, or let us know if you want us to get more specific, anything like that. All right, cool. I think everyone pretty much wants you to get into it. Guys, if you like this training, Jarod does these every single week inside our SEO Academy. This is basically just a private members only one that we've released publicly for this one time only. So I'm going to stick a link in the training if you guys want to go check it out for like a $1 trial to try this out. But aside from that, I'm going to leave Jarod to go back to it, and you guys can just check it out whenever you have a chance. It's the worst pitch ever, but I just want to leave him to it because it's cool stuff. All good, man. Keep going.
Awesome. So let me look at this site right here. Let me look at the client site because I was having problems with this one earlier. Yeah, so someone submitted the site. Number one issue is that you can't use the site. So get that fixed. So that was quick. Next thing as well, just because I looked at all these sites before, and so I would have a general idea of what to talk about, which is something I do for the site audits as well. Rather than jumping in completely blind, I like to take a couple seconds just in case I'm going to miss something. But this guy right here, I think this is also going to be a really quick one. So this is a pest control client site. And let me go back down the spreadsheet. And this person said, the main keyword is pest control Jacksonville. They're located in North Carolina, but recently their rankings for that keyword have tanked and SERPs have been replaced with websites for Jacksonville, Florida. So to sum that up, hey, we're ranking for pest control Jacksonville, which is implied North Carolina, and then all of a sudden it's replaced by Jacksonville, Florida. So I think it's odd that the SERPs were just completely replaced to a certain extent. Now, without mentioning the state, and let me just pull this up here. So if you guys aren't familiar, this tool I search from basically allows you to search from a specific area. So with that, I'm going to, the way that I have this set up is United States, English. This is my keyword I'm searching for. This is the city I'm searching for, and then the state abbreviations right there. So I'm searching for pest control Jacksonville with a city location based of Jacksonville, North Carolina. Now, if you look at the population difference between Jacksonville and North Carolina, 72,000, which is quite small in terms of cities for the US. And let me just put in Jacksonville, Florida, 892,000, right? So it's quite a bit bigger. So if the SERPs were completely replaced, the thing that I can think of would be that the people who were just searching for pest control Jacksonville without specifying a state, Google just felt as though the intent was much more likely leaning towards Florida. So even just with being set to North Carolina, when I look here, like the ads are Jacksonville, Florida, and that's because the advertisers aren't doing as good as a job they could with their location settings. That's a different conversation right here. Maps is also showing me Jacksonville, Florida, even though this tool does a very good job at showing you maps based on the area that you're searching from, which is I set to North Carolina. Even the organic as well, like the person said, is set to Florida. And it's not like everyone else is North Carolina and then your listing was replaced by Florida. This SERP has changed to Florida. So anyone in North Carolina searching for pest control Jacksonville is going to see Florida, and there's nothing you can do about that, I don't think. You probably could try to force yourself onto this. I don't think it'd be worth the effort. So the playing field has essentially changed for you. Because if I specify a state now, pest control Jacksonville, North Carolina, I don't know if that's the area code for North Carolina. I have to assume it is, but right here, the SERPs are now all North Carolina, and right here, the site is number 4. So I think Google just changed what they felt as though the intent was. I don't think there's anything you really do about that. I don't think the rankings itself just changed because you're already showing up for Jacksonville, North Carolina, first page, and then top 5 for pest control. Looking at the site itself, I would just specify, make sure, in the title tag NC to specify Jacksonville. This is a big problem. Maybe not big, but this is a problem when it comes to local, is when you are in a city that shares the same name as a city that is much larger in a different location. In this case, Jacksonville, Florida is a very well-known city. When someone says, oh, I'm from Jacksonville, you just assume that it's Florida, so it's a well-known city. So that could be, again, why when people just typing in Jacksonville, even when they're in North Carolina, Google's just assuming that they mean Florida. I do think it's a little bit weird that I set my location settings to North Carolina and they still showed me Florida for the maps, which typically doesn't happen. Because I'll search for stuff sometimes here in New Hampshire, and I'll still see New Hampshire-based map results, but a different state in the search based on what I'm searching for. So I do think that that's a little odd, but again, I don't think you're going to really be able to change Google's mind on that. But I would just make sure you're actually tracking Jacksonville NC in your rank tracker. I think you're just going to naturally have that issue when there's a much larger city that shares the same name as the city that you're targeting. But I don't think anything's necessarily bad happened. You mentioned, hey, rankings have tanked, but I don't think they have. I just think the intent of the SERP has changed. You have to do with that what you can. I've seen a lot of questions come through. Okay. That was Daryl. That was for Daryl. Type detox of southflorida.com. Okay, so what did I have in here? Because I wrote this set off earlier. Oh, okay. there is an AS7S. Let me unhighlight that and we'll see if we can get to that. Thank you for that. You see here. Yep. What do you think about the quality of the CTAs on this website? So I'm not a CRO expert, but I will give my opinions. I don't like that the My Account is just as prominent as a button as to get the free quote. Personally, I think that the My Account should be dropped into the navigation as a top level navigation, and then just everything moved over on the very far right, hey, My Account. Or if people that do come to the site and have an account with them, sometimes it makes more sense for it to just be in the footer area, just because, hey, this call to action button should be for people that are looking to, convert and become a lead. Or My Account is probably for people that are already customers. Phone number here, it's fine. It's good that you have a phone number here. Click to call. I think it'd be much better if you were to take that phone number and make it more prominent. I don't know how I feel about putting it in a button like this and having two buttons. I think it would be probably more effective just to have one button here that just stands out that says get a free quote, so it's very clear. Sorry, I'm moving my mouse around well because you guys can't see me in my hand motions. But just to make it very clear, like, hey, if you see green, you want to click on this button. That's some sort of call to action. Again, you have your call to action here, which is nice. These two buttons are very close together, so you could very much so accidentally click on one instead of the other. So I would look at that through your slider here. Personally, I'm not a big fan of sliders. I think they're quite unnecessary, and they're going to bog down the website in terms of load speed. But I would move this button up a little bit or move these icons down a little bit, but they're set up to be halfway through the image. So it could just be rewriting this to, excuse me, rewriting this just to get it to be only 2 lines so that this button moves up a little bit so that you don't get that confusion here. What I would do from an SEO perspective as well is I would make these 2 elements right here in one div so you only have one link instead of the 2 different links. So someone clicks on this, it's a link. Someone clicks on this, is a link. But really, this entire you'd essentially have a div element, div HTML element. That's can I just move this around? No, I can't move that box around. But basically, it would cover both the space around the image and the text here to make it just one link. You can also throw on a heat map on the site if you want to see what people are actually clicking on. I like that. I like the contrast here. We have, hey, it sticks out quite a bit. I think the use of colors on the site is really nice. Yeah, I think the biggest thing I think is just have only one button here. I don't think that My Account needs to be as prominent as it is. I think the get a free quote just being here would be fine, and just cleaning up that. Again, I'm not a CRO expert, but that's what I would do. Q&A. Yep, I will try to get to that site again. It seems like it's a decent site, but no passive CTAs, right? I don't necessarily know what you mean by passive CTAs, but in terms of if there's any CTAs that I don't think belong there or something like that, then no, I think you're fine. I just think the My Account, getting rid of that somewhere else, just moving this, make it very clear, hey, if you want to get a free quote, do this, would be the #1 thing that I would do. Let me just check Facebook real quick. Don't most people not even bother putting in the city if they're looking for pest control, they'll search for pest control nearby or something? I mean, if you want to know that, just look at Google Search Console. So Joshua was asking, based on the pest control site for the search terms in the city and state, don't most people not even put in the city at all? A lot of people do put in cities, and I find that when cities aren't specified, depending on what the SERPs are, you'll get massively different results. So when I was writing an article that was just talking about the differences in rank trackers and their accuracy and whatnot, I basically tracked the same 5 or 6 terms, both using the city modifier and without the city modifier to see how accurate the terms were for both for a local law firm that was literally right across the street from my office. And I did that across 5 different, I believe 5 different keyword tracking tools, and then a personal search just through normal Chrome, and then an incognito search. And what I found was that when I didn't put in the city for this individual term, 90% of the search were just business law firms in other cities, or just general information about law firms, like Wikipedia articles and like other stuff like that. It was really not. Google clearly didn't know what I meant when I was searching for that. Yeah, so for like restaurants near me is quite common. But again, look at Search Console, and that's going to tell you what people are actually searching for. Plenty of people search the actual city within the actual SERP, especially if you're maybe just outside the city or wherever it may be. But look at Search Console, and you'll see what people are actually searching for. Not everybody types in the city, and not everybody doesn't type in the city. But search, from my experience, rank trackers are pretty much useless when you try to search for a search term without the city in the search term as well, and you just get wild results. And you'll see very different things if you search for it like here, or if you search for it setting the actual location. I just haven't found it to be very accurate. So that was what this is, this pest control site. So let me go back to these guys, the detox site. Oh, okay, hang on. You spelled it correctly in the other chat. There we go. Okay. And before I jump into this one, did you want to say anything else, Jarod, or are you all set for me to just dive in?
No, I think you're good for now.
Cool.
How much? We've got 3 left after this.
So we have 4. This one is fairly quick. I think another one of these is fairly quick. We'll see. I don't know if we'll get through all of them. I think 1 or 2 of them could be like an hour on their own, but we'll see what we can do. I'll try to move a little bit quicker on these. So we are looking to see how we can improve more rankings with the help of any new changes to on page. Okay. So I don't work in the drug rehab niche at all, but I do know it's incredibly competitive and incredibly, there's a lot of people that are doing very well with a lot of spammier stuff in this niche. So let me see here, Top Drug Rehab and Alcohol Recovery Center, Florida Detox FL. That title tag is a little bit odd. What's the actual business name real quick? Let me scroll down here. Detox South Florida. So I think that's what the Detox FL is supposed to be, is the actual business name. I'm trying to think how I change this title tag. It's off my head. Top Drug Rehab and Alcohol Recovery Center dash Detox of South Florida. I think that would be fine. I'm not consistently saying how word or anything like that. Let me see here what the service pages actually are. So you have like alcohol detox, which is mentioned here. You have drug rehab as well. So for a site like this, I probably wouldn't try to rank the homepage at all. So I may even de-optimize the homepage and just say something like Rehabilitation Center dash Detox of South Florida or something like that, or mention where they actually are. Oh geez, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that city, but Rehabilitation Center in whatever the city is, however that's pronounced, dash Detox of South Florida, and then actually try to rank the actual service pages for it. The reason why is that's going to be much easier to try to optimize a page that's all about drug rehab for drug rehab terms, especially in a competitive market, than it is a homepage, which has content about 5 or 6 different service pages. You have all these different panels here, and your title tag as well. If you just focus on one, it could be misleading to others and whatnot. So I would focus on optimizing the inner pages. Now, what I see here is this URL, which I'm 100% not a fan of, which is just throwing near me in here for the sake of it. I think you should be very clean with your URLs, and you shouldn't change them very often, which can be an issue with clients because some clients have changed the URLs a ridiculous amount of times. But I would clean up the URLs to make them clean. Addiction treatment / drug rehab. You don't even necessarily need to go that deep with the URLs either, because you don't have, you could just go drug rehab, that might be fine, because you don't have a different categories where it would make sense to necessarily have a different directory there. Where, I mean, if you had the site organized by, let's say, drug treatment or alcohol treatment or different types of drugs, and then anything under that, then that would make sense if you were like, okay, well, what about cocaine rehab or alcohol rehab or whatever it is, then that would make a whole lot more sense. But based on how this is right now, I don't think you necessarily need that. But again, I try to change the URLs as not often as possible, or to reword that a little bit better, I try to avoid changing the URLs if possible, just because any links going to that page, it's going to, you're going to have a diminishing return effect of having to 301 that URL. When Google comes to the site, this is now a brand new page, so they have to reevaluate this page and its URL and all the content on it and whatnot. So with that said, looking at the title tag here, detox of South Florida, I think you're going to have a real hard time going after a region of just saying South Florida, where I think you'd have a much better chance. Let me check how big this city is. $1,000. Okay, that's going to be. Is this like a? Is there a much larger city like right next to this? And West Palm isn't. West Palm's probably like an hour or 2 away, actually. A near me appended to the title is that a result of the search actual appended to the URL. So this is the actual hard-coded URL on the site. This wouldn't change based on what you search for. If someone searches for drug treatment near me and they land on the URL, it doesn't automatically append near me to the URL. But what I was thinking here is that if it was, let's say, right outside of, I don't know the geography here, Orlando. If it was like right outside of Orlando, like right here or something, then I'd probably just reframe the site around Orlando. But what you could do is, and what I would probably do is build out city pages if you don't have them already. Scholarships is something we can talk about as well. Just because going after, how many people are actually searching for South Florida? I mean, they could be. Let me throw the site into Ahrefs before I make that assumption. But I can't imagine a whole lot of people are searching for just South Florida. That sounds very general, where people are probably searching for. So South Florida Detox Center, is that their actual name again, or is that Detox of South Florida? So I'm not sure if that's a actual keyword or that's how people look for. Yeah, so Detox of South Florida. So that could be just both people looking for the brand name, or people could just be looking for in South Florida, in which case, hey, go for it with the actual optimization here. Okay, so it does look like some people are looking for just South Florida. So if that's how people search for stuff there, then that's fine. So scratch what I said about the city page strategy for this individual part. Now, what I would do as well is, I guess city pages wouldn't necessarily make a whole lot of sense for a physical location. How many locations do you have? Does this have? So just the one. I don't think you need a locations page, by the way. You just have that one location. Drug detox. No, I was on drug rehab. So I think you're fine here going after South Florida. I would spell out the expert drug rehab centers. So you have the brand name first. I would change that to have the keyword as close to the left as possible. So we have here, let me look at, here is Keywords Explorer, South Florida drug rehab. Just looking to see who actually ranks for this and what their keywords are actually pulling up. But with that, let's say the main keyword, just because I'm looking at here, is just drug rehab South Florida. Then I would have in here drug rehab center in South Florida. And then you can put the brand name in there, but I don't like that the brand name has detox, which seems to be part of a keyword, and South Florida, which is also part of keyword. So I wouldn't use a brand name too often to make it seem like I'm potentially keyword stuffing. But drug rehab center in South Florida, and then some sort of CTA at the end. So if there's a specific thing that this facility does that other places don't, so something super basic is, let's say they have over 200 years combined experience or whatever, you can put that in there. And then for your H1, which I assume this is the H1, sorry, I keep clicking on things because the drop down is massive. SEO header checks. So this is your H1. So for those of you that don't know, this is one of my bookmarklets. So red is H1, green is H2, blue is H3. The pink or the purple is H4s. So this is an H4 and this is an H5. And then there's no H6s here. So this is the H1. I think you can have this be a little bit more. How did I even click on anything? Sorry, I literally don't know what I clicked on for that one. Drug rehab, South Florida Drug Rehab Center, right? That would have your keywords in there, and it would look natural, it would read naturally. So for the outside there, let me check. I don't have a plugin here for checking the links, I don't think. That's fine. I'll mention the headers in a second. I was just looking at the internal linking. It doesn't look like there's a whole lot happening here for internal linking. Let me open up the blog so I can check there after as well. But looking at some of these headers, oh wait, I do have a, that's just a no follow check though. So different treatment options, residential versus out. Seems fine. See, again, near you is just kind of thrown all over the place. So when someone searches for near me, the intent of that is really focused on the proximity, right? So one of the big things with Google Maps is proximity. When someone searches for near me, that tells Google the intent of the search is that I want something that is local to me, right? If I search for a pizza place near me, I don't want to see a place that's on the other side of town that's going to be a 15, 20-minute drive. I want the places that are closest to me. Personally, I've never tried to optimize my content for near me because I think it just makes the content look ridiculous. I don't think that there's necessarily a whole lot you can do because people are implying maps. Even in the search, sure, you can try to rank for that. I just think it's a bit gimmicky. I'm personally not a fan of that. I don't see that as a long-term thing. I'm also looking at how people see my content. Find the right drug rehab near you. Again, this doesn't read well. Find the right drug rehabilitation center in Florida, or whatever it may be. Make sure this actually reads fine. There's a difference between the traffic source and the conversion source for lead generation. At the end of the day, for clients, what we're trying to do is we're trying to make them more money. And we do that by getting them traffic. SEO stops when someone hits the website. That's it. It's over. So it doesn't matter how much traffic you're getting them. if you're not converting people. So you want to make sure that everything on the site as well is also going to convert people. So if the content doesn't read right, even if, hey, you're now, you're able to rank a little bit higher because you stuffed a bunch of keywords and headers and the content, whatever, but now it reads really poorly. Well, personally, I wouldn't really trust a drug rehabilitation center if I feel like they can't even write in proper English on their page, because as a consumer, I don't necessarily understand that, oh, they're doing that for SEO. What I just see is a bunch of sentences that sound like broken English. Daily drug rehab schedule at Detox of South Florida, so that's fine. Brand name, and you have the keyword in there. I'm gonna try to go a little quicker here. I just open up a couple of these pages. How early rehab can reduce alcoholic hepatitis to 30-day hospital. Okay. Scrolling through it quickly, I don't see any internal links, which again for on-site is important. Looking at the sidebar, there's a bunch of posts here. I don't think you need that many outbound links on this page. And is someone really going to click on these? I think if you want to show recent posts, that's fine, but show like 3 to 5 and also have like their images and whatnot, so people are actually enticed where they're like, oh, I do want to dive deeper. But I don't think having recent posts is really helpful unless you're just like a news site. If someone's landing on this page, you're probably just driving the traffic through SEO. If they're looking for detox versus rehab, is this going to be helpful for them at all? Probably not. If there's actually other helpful articles that they should read, have the internal links there. It's also going to help you with your link building, building links to content. The content's going to link to the money pages, which is going to flow the link juice to the money pages, which is going to help you there as well. Yeah, it seems like, I've mentioned a couple things on the on-site. I don't want to go, I could go deeper, but I want to make sure I can get another site done. We're definitely going to go past the hour. But I would look at, I don't think you have one, Daryl. If you do, let me know. But I know that Matt Diggity, diggitymarketing.com, right as you go on, he has an on-site guide. If you want to go through on-site, I recommend just downloading that, and then I'll go over like internal linking, title tags, etc. That would be a good place for you, I think, because of the stuff that's kind of going on here. I think that that would help you clean this up a little bit. Let me just look here real quick. Okay, let me just answer this question. Do you ever get into site speed / DG metrics for a prospect video audit? So that's talking about like client acquisition. I'm not going to dive too deep on that, but if a site can't load, it can't load. I think you're going to have a hard time arguing with a client that, hey, your site's loading in 3.5 seconds. It should load in under 3. But I mean, if it's loading in like 10 seconds, I think that's pretty easy for someone to understand that there's a problem there. If it, and they don't even want to sit and wait for their site to load.
Jarod, you still call to do a few more audits?
Yeah, so let me see. It's 3 here. I'm fairly free for a little bit. So I'll go through 1 or 2 more of these and we'll see how we're getting on after that. So the person with the HVAC site did speak up, so I will go to your site next, sir.
Can you do me a favor real quick? Can you pull up the academy and show these guys what the game when they sign up for the trial?
Yeah, so I don't know if I have some of this is locked during the trial, right?
It's I know off the top of my head, I think.
Okay.
So if you guys saw the link I just dropped, I don't know, a few minutes ago, basically if you sign up for $1, it's literally $1, you get access to So Rob's 0 to 500 a month Amazon affiliate training, that's about an hour or so training. You get full access to that. You get the low hanging fruit PPL system. So if you guys want to know how you can rank sites locally and then find affiliate offers that you sell the leads to, really simple way of making like a few grand a month with minimal sort of management or client crap. You have full access to that training. You have limited access to the ranking blueprint, so we don't give the full access for the dollar. You have limited access to PBM mastery. I think it's like 40 trainings, stuff like that inside that for literally $1. You get the SEO checklists. And if Jarod goes ahead and clicks live training replays, they have access to every single one of these. So I think it's 12 hours of live site audits, just like the one you're watching right now. Some map training and tons of other stuff. Is like, how many are there? Like 25, something like that? Like 25 hours of training or something like that.
Yeah, something like
literally
that.
for $1. So you guys want to check it out. It's linezero.com/trial, and there's links in Zoom and in Facebook. So just wanted to drop that there so you guys know about it. And I think I'll just leave you to it, man. You got 2 or 3 left. Like, fit in as many as you can.
Yeah, sure. Let's get to it.
Awesome.
So let me reset this. Where am I on these? Oops. So this is the HVAC site. Someone said, what was that new question? Oh, that's one I already answered. Let me just clear that. There we go. These guys were ranking pretty well for terms like air conditioning Calgary, furnace repair Calgary, boiler repair / replacement, tankless water heater installation repair Calgary with their old website. A new website was built and their rankings for all these main terms took a pretty big hit. What's the best way to rank for all these various services? We have a blog. We have blog posts written for specifics to the actual services. Should I be pointing backlinks to these various pages? How many PBNs is safe to point at a site per month? What kind of ratio to use for your anchor text? Okay, so we have a couple questions here. I'm going to answer them in a different order. I'm just going to open up a notepad right here so I can separate some of the points I want to make, just to make this a little bit cleaner here. Okay, so I'm going to answer the last 2 first. So what kind of ratio would you use for anchor text? So right now how I'm doing things is if you were to read, Daryl has a training on this on the back end if you're an Academy member, and various people, I think Charles Lowe has one, I think Matt Diggity has one, I think there's a couple more as well, people going anchor text ratios, which is basically download competitors' links from Ahrefs, all their anchor text, organize them based on topic. So, hey, this is a keyword-based anchor text. This is a miscellaneous anchor text. This is just spam, so I'm not going to worry about it. This is a URL, etc. This is a brand. And then getting your averages. So figure out what the averages are per site. Figure out what the averages are per the individual search page. And then kind of plan around that. It's not exact science. There's pros and cons to this method. That's probably the most commonly used industry-wide in terms of people who are actually planning out what acceptable anchor text ratios are. So what I like to do when it comes to planning out anchor text is a couple things, regardless of whether you buy into that method or not. Is first, look at the anchor text based on the page that you're on, and not in terms of just context and whether it's relevant, but also in terms of quality. So for example, if a directory website is using an exact match term, right? So if I'm trying to rank for HVAC company Calgary, that's an exact match term. I don't want to overly use that in my anchor text. I don't want to make anything look suspicious to Google. So I want to make sure if I'm using a highly targeted keyword-based anchor text, that I'm using it on very strong and relevant backlinks. So a directory would be a waste, especially if it's a no-follow link, if it's directories generally don't carry a whole lot of power because anyone can get those links. And it's a lot more natural and more contextual for that link to be either a brand name or a URL anchor, or even like a click here, visit website, etc. Those are how the sites are typically set up. So first, is it natural? And then just, I like to be conservative on my anchor text. I don't like to use the same target anchor more than once unless it's a brand name and there's a target URL, a target keyword within the brand name. So if they were Joe's HVAC, then Joe's HVAC is going to have HVAC in it, which is part of the keyword, and that just can't be helped. But when it comes to target anchors, I don't like to repeat the same thing more than once unless it's, let's say, a blog post, in which case I may use the title of the blog post a couple times. So for example, where even is the blog here? Can't even find it. Let's say that under FAQ, okay. Okay, so let's say, oh geez. Okay, so I have a couple of points to make on that. I'm fine. These don't really look like blog posts, which I'll talk about in a second. Okay, so like, what is a pilot light? Where do I find it, and how do I know it's working? Well, like, I might use that entire thing as an anchor text. Once, granted, it's kind of long, so I probably wouldn't use it too often, because somebody will be like, hey, read this article, and then just the actual title of the article. And then what is a pilot light? Again, that's fairly natural. I want to make sure I'm good from both an algorithmic standpoint. So if Google bot through Penguin or through whatever algorithms they are not using with looking at backlinks, I want to know if an automated crawler is coming to my website, that everything looks good. If they're analyzing my links, nothing looks weird there in terms of like anchor text ratios, the words I'm using in my anchor text, the pages that I'm sending links to, the amount of links that I have or anything like that. And then I want to also make sure that if an actual Google employee manually checks my link profile, that it's not obvious within like 2 seconds what I'm doing. So, if I throw this into Ahrefs, which I'll probably do in a second here, but if I throw this into Ahrefs and 90% of the links are just HVAC company Calgary, well, it's pretty obvious what's going on here. So just use a bit of, I would say it's common sense for what looks natural and what isn't. So just make sure, you're good on that front. How many PBNs is it safe to point a link per month? I have no idea. Nobody has any idea. I don't use when I do occasionally use PBNs, I don't really use them for tier ones a whole lot anymore, because it's just the size of the clients that I'm working with and how I'm running some of my other sites. But when it comes to links of any type, regardless of whether it's a PBN or whatnot, how many links is kind of, I like to look at how many links the competitors have, how strong are their links. We can only take estimates on there. And next, when it comes to PBNs, I want to make sure that if I am using PBNs, I'm not using only PBNs, especially for client sites. If it's my own site, then maybe I'll go pretty heavy with PBNs at first. But really, when it comes to how many per month, there's no really right or wrong answer. I would look at how many links do our competitors have, how many do I think I need, and go from there. I think it's a really loaded question that nobody can really give you an answer to because of the nature of how SEO works. Now with the blog posts, so should you be pointing links to blog posts? Yes. So what I'm doing is when I'm planning out links, I'm looking at, okay, well, roughly how many links do my competitors have for my money pages, and what are their anchor text ratios, and how strong are those links, etc. And so they have an average of let's say 5 links, right? I'll just use numbers and we'll forget about quality for a second just because that makes this whole conversation a little bit more complicated. But let's say they're every link in the world is the same quality. So if my competitors have an average of 5 links, then I want to get probably between 5 and 7 links. And then once I'm at that kind of point, if I want to send more links to that page, I'll be very slow about it so it looks fairly natural. So if I do end up with 20, 25 links to that one page, it doesn't look really unnatural when I'm the only person that has maybe 5, 10 times the amount of links. It's like, okay, well, this was dripped over, they gained this many links over the course of a year, rather than a bunch up front. So I'm looking to be natural in that point. But once I have those, let's say 5 to 7 links, then I want to make sure I can still continue to power up my page without having to be very slowly dripping out my links. And you could call me more cautious than others, but that's fine. Is that then I have my blog posts And blog posts are very natural to have a lot more links because they're informational type content rather than sales content, which is very rare to have links to, especially legitimate links. So I'm much more aggressive with my blog posts. And then I'm sending links to my blog posts. Again, I'm making sure I'm staying natural within those. I'm not really caring about the keywords I'm targeting with the blog posts or how the natural looks on those individual SERPs. But hey, maybe I'll send 5 to 10 links to my blog post, and this blog post links to this money page or whatever it may be. But yes, once my money pages are good, I'm also sending pages to my informational based content. And if my money pages need a bunch of links, I'm not going to just focus on my link builder on one page for forever because I don't think that looks very natural. I'll also, drip in some informational links at that point, just so if someone does come to my site in the process of me building, let's say, 50 links to this money page because it's more competitive, they're not going to see, okay, well, for the past 3 months, the site has only given links to this one page and it's a sales content-based page. That looks fairly suspicious. Now, with your blog posts, FAQ, that'd be fine, but it just doesn't, an FAQ is frequently asked questions, just doesn't seem like on this page initially, it doesn't seem like it's set up for an FAQ. These look like a list of service pages. Like right here, this looks like it actually is a service page. Let me just open this up. Calgary furnace replacement. It's very odd for that page to be nested under there. Then you have this right here. Is it time for a furnace replacement in my Calgary home? The site just doesn't make a whole lot of sense for how it's structured to me at all. Like this looks like a blog post, right? Cost saving tips for staying cool all summer. This is not, right? This does not. When I open it up, there is a question there, but still, this just seems like it's just a money page. This seems like what I'd try to rank for furnace repair Calgary, which could be what you're going for, but then I would expect to see it somewhere under here. So I'm not really sure where you're going with this entire thing. Now, when you did change over the site, which you mentioned up here, because I have you, did you change the domain or was it just the design of the site? They wanted this just design a number of pages. Okay. Did the URLs change at all? Both like the end. Okay. So I'll mention that in a second. So they wanted the site to be cleaner so there weren't so many subpages. Well, the issue is that how it is right now, like it's fine to not have a bunch of like drop downs if you don't want to. I think you should in some cases, because so this is less so about SEO and more about client work in general, is that client says, hey, I want this. If it's not the best choice for them, it needs to be very clear to them. At the end of the day, they have say. So I mean, I could be like, hey, this is how you need to change the site. You're not going to be able to rank if you're doing this like this. And then if the client's like, no, I don't want to do that. Well, you can only go so far with a client. But the site structure right now just makes no sense whatsoever, right? So I come on here and like, it's dead of summer. I need to hire someone to repair my AC. I have to click to page. Like, there's no content on here. I click cooling. Well, like, okay, what's going on here? I want my AC repaired. Okay, so maybe I don't have central air. Maybe I click on this just to see maybe I do have central air. Okay, well again, I want my AC repaired. Where really the page for that is, well, I have to go. Okay, that was furnace repair. AC repairs there. Okay, so if I want to get to the AC repair page, I have to know to click FAQ, which I would never think of. And then, okay, well, air conditioning and Calgary, right? So from a user perspective, this is pretty poor. Yeah, I would build out those pages. Sorry, for anyone that's on Facebook, I don't know if you can actually see the Zoom chat. So the question was, so under heating, would you build out a page for furnace repair, furnace replacement, hot water tank repair, etc.? Yes. Now, would I necessarily let the URL structure be /heating/ and all that stuff? Not necessarily. but I would have it under a drop down. There's nothing wrong with having 3 to 5 pages as long as it's not overwhelming and it's not overbearing in terms of the signs to have it there, because that's just good user experience, right? If I want to find air conditioning repair, I'm never going to find it on this site, right? I land on the site, maybe I call, maybe I don't, right? The phone number's here, it's kind of hidden, there's no kind of call to action here. Yes, there is the chat here, but I may or may not notice that, I may not click that. If I want to go to the AC repair page, I have to click FAQ. Again, never going to happen. I didn't even think the blog content would be under here, right? Because I had to ask you. And then like, okay, well, I want my air conditioning to be repaired. I have to find it through there. That just doesn't make any sense. Now, what would be an option is under this, just using this as a main category, and then just you go on here, and then you have links to all your service pages. Because right now it's just literally the content on the page is this. So it would make a lot more sense. Like you could also have different panels where, okay, well, this is all about air conditioning, and then you have central AC page, or AC repair, or AC installation, and then under that maybe have your next panel for fan coils, and then all your various pages that are related to that, and then panel so on and so forth, right? So if we look at, let's say, the homepage, just look at panels here, not necessarily the greatest example for this, but let's say this was the cooling page, and it goes like, hey, we're an HVAC company. Here's central air, and then here's all my AC options here. Here's heating coils. Here's all my coil options here, or whatever it may be. Because right now, just the navigation of it isn't too great. Now, when it comes to rankings tanking, that could have been because the URLs changed, especially if some of the new URLs are based on old URLs. So let's say initially a page that was ranking really highly for anything related to air conditioning was /cooling, and now the air conditioning page is something else, and now the page that replaces the /cooling page. Well, Google wanted to rank this page, and now this page has no content, so it's going to tank that part of the site. And if the old URLs don't exist at all, that can be an issue. You want to make sure the old URLs are redirecting to the new URLs possible. Make sure they're redirecting to the right place. And let me go back here. Oh wait, I have this open here. Let me look at this. Okay, I'm like 90% sure that's Canada. Let me just double check. Yeah, it's Alberta. So I'm going to change that to Canada. Go to Calgary. To see what these guys are. harmonyheating.ca. All right, so I'm not finding them in the first couple pages. Let me just do this. So was the homepage ranking for all these terms beforehand, or were service pages ranking what was kind of happening here? The service pages. It's a little difficult to really pin down without knowing what how exactly the original site was, in terms of like, oh, the on-site's a lot different. This page is now basically a duplicate of this page. So let me just throw these guys into way back and see if I can see the old site. Let me just pop back into like 2017. We'll see what's going on here. We basically went from like 300 plus pages to what it is today. I mean, that could also be a thing if you just check out a lot of pages. Okay, so with loading, sometimes way back doesn't really give me all the functionality I'd like to have. Sometimes things are broken, but we'll wait for that to load and we'll see what's happening. Okay, so look at like furnace replacement. Yeah. So what I want to do now is just see what's going on the site for this URL now. So it's like right here, furnace replacement was their old page. If that was ranking, well, now it redirects to the home page. So that could be an issue, because if you have your if this is the page that was ranked beforehand, now it's just redirecting the home page. If the home page isn't strong enough for this page, it should really be redirecting to the furnace replacement page on this site, right? So we go to furnaces or whatever. So slash heating slash furnaces, and then what do you have under FAQ? Furnace player, furnace replacement. So now you have multiple pages. It seems like there's just a bunch of pages that aren't needed. Like these don't strike me as like service pages at all, right? These look like your actual service pages. And then under heating, there should be like a drop down that brings me to that page that's just on for furnace repair. Or if I have to go to this page first and I click on furnace installation, whatever, I click on that, then I have the content here. Because now we have this page that was in the FAQ trying to rank for Calgary furnace installation, and then we have this page right here, which is also going after furnace installation that isn't as optimized as the other one, but you could be running into cannibalization as well. So the site's really confusing, and I think you have to go through and clean it up a little bit, and I have to talk to the client about that. But right now, just even if you were to just change up the content and URL, like this just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, just make sure the sites just make the site easier to understand. You have to bring those FAQ pages back into the main site. Even if you have to do some workarounds and the client's like, hey, I don't want drop downs or whatever. And just, okay, well, we click heating. Now we have, even if it's just like an image that says furnace repair or whatever on it, that brings you to the actual furnace repair page. Because right now I think it's confusing for me, so I can only imagine it's confusing for Google. Yeah, at the end of the day, that's what clients care about, whether or not their phone is ringing. But at the end of the day, clients can also self-sabotage if they don't let you. If the client won't let you do your job properly, and then they don't get results because you can't do your job properly, they're still going to blame you at the end of the day. That is just one of the many joys of working with clients. Let's see, we're at 3:21. Let me check Facebook real quick to see if anything's going on there. Jared, what's your number one go-to WordPress theme for local sites? None really. I mean, usually just custom-built themes based on, I think it's called Basic. So it might not be Basic. It might be something else. It's not Basic. Or maybe it's this. There's basically a WordPress theme that's built for if you are. No, it's not that. Let me unshare my screen because I have to log into our site, because our site is built on this. But generally, sites that I'm doing are custom built, or if it's a client site, they already have a site. There's here's theme editor. Okay, that's what we're built off of. Let me just share my screen again. So this is what our site is built off of, underscores.me. It's basically a bare bones WordPress theme that you use to build out a custom site on it. That's what I'm doing for, that's what any site I'm building is really on. Any client site, it's either using their site. If we have to build them a site, then it's either a custom built site, which is using something like this, which is basically a bare bones theme, fully customized. Like, I don't really care too much about themes, because I generally want a theme that I can customize completely anyway. So even if it's like a, I don't even know, like a, what do they call it, theme force theme, or what's the other popular one? I can't remember the other popular one, but even if I'm doing that, I want to make sure I can really customize it. I don't really care too much as long as it looks okay and it runs okay. I don't really have a preference over themes. But I like to have the site as custom as possible, ideally, because I don't want to have to deal with other developers' crappy code. But I mean, I know that you're kind of more towards the beginner stages, which is completely fine, but I would say don't worry about it whatsoever. Just choose something and run with it. It doesn't matter. As long as it's not completely crap, right? Does it look okay? Great, then use it. Divi is something I actually wouldn't recommend. I think Divi is very slow. Granted, hey, if you have great experiences, go for it. If you're looking for theme builders, yeah, Thrive is great. There's also Elementor, which I haven't dove into, but I know a couple people that really can't speak highly enough about Elementor. But I use Thrive themes a lot. Okay, so does anybody that actually that if you're on Zoom, mention Q&A if you unless you don't want to say, but if are any of these sites anybody's sites? Because if you're here and you're on the call, then I'll choose your site over somebody else's. So you have this baby affiliate site, an essay writing site, and a moving site. These are the only types of sites of this category that were submitted. So it's not like, hey, there's people moving sites that need to come forward now. Just because, hey, if you're here, it'll be better. Give it a couple more seconds. Are any of these quick? So I looked at this one. Yeah, no worries. So I looked at this one earlier. I won't dive into it just because we're already halfway and half hour past. If anyone has general FAQ questions, enter it into Q&A, Zoom chat, Facebook Live, and then after I'm done talking here, if nobody has any more questions, we'll wrap up. But this essay writing site, they wanted help with the backlinks and anchor text. When I looked at it earlier, let's throw it into Ahrefs real quick. The number one thing I found was, no, that's not a URL. This is a URL. Let me just grab that. The number one thing that I noticed right away was that the anchors were target anchors, and there were a lot of them, right? So let me just go live and go do follow. Essay writing service, 32 referring domains, 783 referring pages. That is a lot of exact match anchor text. And even looking at, there seems to be a decent amount of, or some amount of spam anchors here, just kind of looking at it very quickly. It looks like there may also be content that you're hosting on the actual site itself, possibly. Let me just, these like the content you've written. Okay, so for some reason, these pages, based on the anchor text, it seems like, I don't know how the site is set up on the back end, but it seems like articles are written and then they're somehow posted onto the site, and that these pages have links, just because there's a lot of random anchor text pointing to links on the site. It would make sense if there was an article about that on the site. So I would just look at that, make sure that you're not actually publishing those URLs, because these just seem like some spam links that are generated from those. But it seems like the only target anchor text you're using is just exactly essay writing service. I mean, if I was a Google employee, this would take me 2 seconds to penalize. Granted, I'm sure they'll have a lot more checks and balances than just looking at this and going, hey, that's a penalty. But it also looks like there's a decent amount of spam links. Due to the links on this one, I would disavow in this case, just because I've worked in the essay writing niche before, or like the like writing services within like for high school students, college students, etc. And it tends to be a fairly spammy niche, so I would want to either go churn and burn, but you said this is a client, so I wouldn't try to go like, hey, let's see how hard we can hit this and what we can do out of it as quickly as possible. I would go for the very opposite side and be as clean as possible. So I'd probably dispel some of these links again. There's just a ton of exact match anchor text. Really diversify the anchor text profile here. Look at links by pages as well, and I'll consider this like done. Just go through this one really quickly. Firm domains. Homepage. buy essay online. There's a couple links. Rank essay. Yeah, so I would say 100% diversify the anchor text profile. Right now, it's really sketchy. I don't know how it looks if you've disavowed. If you have Ahrefs, you can upload your disavow file to Ahrefs, and it'll automatically parse out all those links, and that'll give you a different view on your anchor text profile. But I would build more links to the content, make your link profile look a lot more natural than it is right now. Right now, it does not look very good. Let me check Facebook real quick. So I'll wrap up the site audits there. I'll answer the questions that people have. So far, I just have one from Danny. So while I'm answering his, if you have a question, feel free to pop it in and I'll get to it. But other than that, then I'll let Jarod wrap this all up. So Danny says, are you mostly building sites these days, Jarod, to eventually resell, or are you chasing local SEO biz? Yeah, so the agency is my focus, and that's mostly local SEO and link acquisition for larger companies that just don't hire one agency to handle everything. I've started on the affiliate side of things just to kind of see and kind of feel out, hey, if I like it. I started one affiliate site based on it was an existing domain that was just rebuilt to be an affiliate site, and then 3 other sites I acquired that were already making money, that were already affiliate sites. So I'm just kind of playing the field there, see what I'm liking, what I'm like, and what I'm not liking. I've been getting a lot into talking about time and how much time affects rankings, and it's really hard to analyze some of my ideas and some of my strategies around how to best utilize that when I'm working with clients, because you have deliverables every single month. So it's nice to be able to do something on an affiliate site and then be able to let it sit for 3, 4, 5 months if I wanted to, and also just have an additional income stream to not have to worry about and play around with some of the different things that go into affiliate and whatnot. So I'm doing a little bit of that, but it's not like I'm spending a lot of time on it. It's like weekends that I'll put in a couple hours of work on them. But the goal with those sites is to eventually resell them. There's one of them that I feel as though that would be very interesting to get away from just pure affiliate, and I see a very interesting opportunity with that one. And if that one does do well, then I think that would be like one I would sell to someone that it's within the automotive niche. So I would want to sell to like Ford or someone like that. So I'd build a tool that they were actually really interested in. The other sites is just more of like, hey, I'm going to grow them. If they grow, I don't know. I want to sell them, but I'm not like, hey, I'm just doing this to sell them. It's more so of having fun to see what what's going on. I'm buying sites that are doing a little bit of, that are only making like a couple $100 a month. So that, if I tank it right away, I tank it, and I didn't waste up a lot of money on that. So I'm not like really go-getter for the flipping right now. It's just, hey, let's mess around with these sites. Let's see what I can do. And if, when they're taking up too much of the time, I can just flip them. Have you seen any drops on the March 12th update? Let me think. March 12th, that was 2 months ago. Off the top of my head, I don't think so. Let me refresh what was going on there. There's so many updates that are being talked about. I can't always remember. March 12th. May 2019. Off the top of my head, no. Don't think so. I mean, when it comes to algorithm updates, I don't think I've ever, knock on wood, been affected positively or negatively in any massive way from an algo update. I've taken on sites where before I've really been able to do anything on the site, then the site like got hit by a update that came out like 2 weeks after we sent a client or something. But I mean, I haven't done it. Maybe it's just me, but I don't think I've really ever seen significant gains or losses from any major algorithm update, whether that's an on-site or an off-site one. I'm trying to think anything noticeable happen. Sometimes I'll see like, oh, here's this one that was really major, and I'll see like a minimal increase or decrease. but no, I don't pay. I generally am not paying a ton of attention when it comes to updates, just because I, knock on wood again, I haven't had to worry about them before. Let me check Facebook. Are you still doing anything with Upwork or Freelancer? Do you offer link building for your students? I mean, if anyone wants to have a conversation about it, then yeah, sure. When it comes to other people within our space, I will say that 90% of the time we're not taking on work from people just because it's very complicated, and especially if they're working with clients and just the whole white labeling aspect and whatnot that I've moved away from quite a bit. Am I still using Upwork? Yes. Yeah, I have some different opinions nowadays than I did about 2 years ago when Daryl and I initially talked about that. But does anybody else have any other questions related to the site audits that I did or anything regarding SEO before I let Daryl wrap this up? I'll give it about 30 seconds before I call it. And while I'm waiting for that, Daryl, did you have anything that you wanted to add before we wrap up here?
Firstly, guys, if you enjoyed this training, can you guys give Jarod some love in the comment box or whatever it is? Like, throw in a number or whatever the crap people do on these webinars and stuff. But let us know if you actually enjoyed this content, and just thank Jarod for spending like an hour and a half now going through these audits, which is awesome. So thanks for doing that, man. And hopefully some people will tune in there. Aside from that, I already posted up a link if you guys want to check out all the stuff. So you do these audits every single week, right? Like not every week's an audit, but for the most part, you're doing them every week.
Yeah. So the way that the Backend Academy is working right now is every single week, Fridays, 2 p.m., I'll get on for an hour. It's generally live site audits 90% of the time, at least now. And then I'll also do like this week was a live site audit. Of course, next week I think I'm doing just a general Q&A. So instead of people necessarily being like, hey, here's my site, people can ask me anything about like business or SEO or marketing or whatever it may be. And then I'll answer their questions there. So if someone's like, hey, how do I figure out project management? Or, hey, how do I, become a broker or whatever it may be, just general, whatever question you have. But it's generally those two things on the actual live stuff. And then we were doing trainings, which is you'll see. So let me show you an example. And we're still doing trainings. I'll just explain how it's different now. Is that in the back end, if you go to Access Training, a lot of these are live site audits, but I've also done things like scaling SEO, client relationship management, back when building a local SEO for 2019, which is public on Daryl's YouTube channel if you want to check that one out. Keyword research automation, a bunch of other stuff here. But now the trainings are still going to be coming out, but they're going to be pre-recorded videos that I'm going to just be adding into the back end so that I can actually go through, record the audio, record slides, and blur things if I need to, so I can actually go into the back end of analytics if I need to. So live trainings are live site audits and AMAs. If we have other ideas, then I'll come up with it. I'm trying to get some guests on as well. So there's other people for that as well. And then monthly, I'm releasing trainings. So come June, right now I'm working on updating a different version of, Daryl has the ranking blueprint. Now I'm coming out with kind of, my own version because I do things a little bit differently, or some things, the videos are a couple of years old now. So some things aren't necessarily as accurate as they were a couple of years ago. So just updating some of the trainings well to make sure that everything's updated there and releasing new training. I have an entire Trello board with new trainings that are going to be coming out, and that's released on a monthly basis. So basically I try to do at least $1,000 worth of content per month.
Definitely. And I've seen the trainings, they're freaking awesome. So like guys, if you join us right now, there's literally like thousands of dollars worth of courses in there and training in there already. And you get that for $1 if you sign up with the link that I posted inside the comment section. So if you want to check it out, I'm not going to pitch it too much. It's Jared, do you want to check my link? It actually works. I've got a bad habit of giving bad links.
Yeah, let me.
I do it way too often. Okay, so it's linezero.com/trial, which just redirects to this page. You can sign up. It's $1. That's a big offer. I know it's huge, but it's $1 for 7 days. And if you guys want to continue, it's $37 a month. You get access to training like this every single week. Plus, I think it's 35 hours, if I'm right, of training just like this, like replays and stuff like that. So check it out if you want to. If not, no big deal. Aside from that, dude, I think there's no questions, so we can probably wrap it up.
Awesome. Yeah. So again, thank you so much, guys, for joining us for this hour and a half long event. If there's any other questions, if you submit your sites and I didn't go deep enough, feel free to message me on Facebook. Whenever I have time, I'll get to you. But aside from that, if you get into the academy, great. We'll, I'm sure we'll talk again later. If not, then, that's perfectly fine as well. So again, thank you so much for, contributing your sites and letting me audit them live and asking questions and being active and whatnot. And I will, I'll see you guys either in the private group or in the public group.
Awesome, man. I'll wrap it up. Thank you guys for attending. This is the first live webinar I've done in a while, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. All credit to Jarod for that, and I'll see you guys on the next call or wherever's next. All right, see you guys.